All right, well, hello. I am back because the last time I was here, I was in a completely different place in my life, and I was lost in a lot of ways, and just scrambling to figure out how to bring inspiration back to my life. And I think I was like watching the video maybe like a couple weeks ago, and it was very like, I just need to get out there and talk to strangers. I think that was like the big epiphany I had, was to just maybe just surprise myself or get out of my comfort zone, just like be okay with not knowing and embrace that by bringing new people into my life that I wouldn't normally talk to. And since then, I've accomplished like 2 of my life goals. And so I wrote and performed in a solo show over the summer. And this was like something I was trying to write for maybe 4 or 5 years. And I was so terrified because it was very personal. And so I would like put it away a bunch, maybe like 20 times. I would start and stop and then think, oh, okay, well, this is just good to do for myself. I don't have to perform this just to take the pressure off. But I think I had given up again like last spring or something like that. And I was at a point where I was like, nothing's keeping me here. Like single, live by myself, I'm nannying. So like I can really just stop that and do that anywhere. And so I was looking at all the different things that I was really passionate about, which always led back to either acting or music. And at the time, it was really heavily like blues music. And so I was like, I've got family in Spain, or I've got a best friend in Austin. I love New Orleans. And, what if I just left and started over? And when I did my research to kind of like have a plan in these different places, it all came back that the best place to do these things that I loved was here. And I think maybe a couple of days later, I got an email from the head of a theater festival that I participated in like 8 years earlier, looking for women voices, and if I had anything to offer, to propose. And I was like, you know what? I think this solo show I've been chipping away at is something, it's been like a calling that I've been suppressing and running away from. So I think I just put together the concept because, well, no, I put together the concept, sent it over, it got accepted. I ran to my good friend who runs a writing group, Bree from Playful Substance. And when I brought in what I had, I realized that for like 5 years, I was just writing a concept, like an outline of the story, rather than actually taking time to live out a journey. And I think that's telling a lot, because I think I am someone who always like needs to know the results, or needs to know if something is going to pan out before I start. And I wouldn't really just trust a journey and sit with it and go through it. And so in doing that, I got like an hour-and-a-half show that I presented, and it was interesting because it's something that I wanted to do for a long time. It got a lot of laughs, which I was hoping for, because it had to do with the Me Too movement. So I really wanted to tell the story in a way where it was entertaining and personally empowering. So it took kind of the lens off of guys needing to be better, and more about self-healing and kind of like who I am and who I grew up to be, that kind of drew in people that I would kind of give up my power around. And so I think it was interesting doing my own work, because this was, my own voice, my own story, my own love of theater, because there was a lot of clowning, physical comedy, because it took place in a pole dance class and I am not a dancer, so automatically I knew that was going to be funny. And I played like 5 different characters, And it really showed, I think, my love for like SNL and Rowan Atkinson, and so after putting this all together and presenting it, there was still this feeling of like, like it's not necessarily that, okay, this is my place as an artist and I found my purpose in my life, but it was more that I think that whole understanding that art is kind of like giving birth to this creative baby, and not everyone's going to care about your child. They've got their own kids, or maybe they don't want kids, and so it was really more about just the act of creation and just hoping that it resonates, and the real work being, as an artist, is what do I want to say? What do I want to contribute to the whole like collective of voices out there? And I think for me, like what I learned I'm most passionate about is being able to inspire people, hopefully through what I create, but also kind of fostering a space where other people are able to act on that inspiration, take a risk. And so I used to run an open mic, and I just started that back up. And, it's like a free event that maybe 20 people go to, but it's like, for me, I always know that I'm going to enter a space and learn something I didn't know about people that I already knew or people that I never met in my life, and really feel like I've created a kind of family, whether it's temporary or whether I'll see them again next month. And then my other project that I filled was recording an EP. And I don't know, it's kind of funny because there was someone that I really, this like almost a tangent, but not really. You would kind of have to see my solo show, because it's all about like finding some kind of really inspirational, talented guy that I like fawn over and feel like I need in order to feel like I'm steady as an artist. Like, because there's always that guy who, I don't know, I would just say like grounded with ideas, or yeah. I'll just say that because I feel like I'm getting very woo. And to have that kind of person to have come back to myself, I think was really nice. And so like there's a guy who I don't think I would have really stuck with music if it had been for him. Because I think whenever I'm like not sure about what I'm doing, it's like, okay, I'll just like go back to my acting now. But this person came into my life and he's like, think about where you'll be in a year. And that was the first time where it's just like, yes, whatever choices I make now is just like planting seeds for whatever is gonna grow later on. And so eventually, as all attachments should be kind of cut off, that relationship ended, and I was able to create this EP, which I think was good for me to learn that my voice is more powerful. I don't want to say on my own, because it did take other people to make it happen, but I did learn that my voice became stronger after I stopped depending on this person. And that seems to be kind of like the constant lesson. And so now that is, I think, excavated or whatever, I'm like hoping I'm gonna not go down that pattern again. But I'm glad to say that, it's okay to be lost, and that I think what I've found is kind of like what I've learned is that you need to be proactive about what you want to get, and in that things will come to you, maybe not the way you expected, but I listened and I responded to what was happening in my surroundings, like the guy asking me if I had a project to pitch. And so maybe it's serendipitous. I mean, I don't want to say like, oh, these things happen that aren't in my control, and they just like came to me, and that's how I live my life. But I do find that things like that happen when I'm also participating in my journey. So I don't know. I think that's kind of it for now.